Welcome back to Rust Rune Aett. Tonight we're going to do an ancestral spread because today's date is 11. So February is the month 2 and 11 is a divine number, but if you did add them together, it's 2. So we have a 2, 2. So with it being divine number 11, what I'm going to do is an ancestor spread. And so I'm going to look at the lessons your ancestors went through. And then I'm going to look at their spiritual gifts. And then we'll lay down some spiritual messages on the white Aett tape. Okay. So we are looking great grandparents. What was the spiritual lesson that you had? We had Wanju, which is all about joy and satisfaction. Okay, you have happiness, success, and just being able to be reborn after tribulation is probably the message that they had so that they could enjoy their success. Okay, that was your great-great-grandparents. Now let's look at your great-grandparents. What was your spiritual lesson, please? Whoops, too many. What was your spiritual lesson? Whoops, too many. Spiritual lesson is this Z-looking one, which is Iwas. This is the yew tree. This is all about letting go, finding new ways. Maybe their life lesson was about following their intuition. Okay. Now, we tend to carry the lessons of our ancestors, the gifts and the lessons, so it's important for you to connect to that too in case that's something that you also are working through as a lesson, okay? Let's look at the spiritual lesson your grandparents had to work through. What was that, please? They had to work through Nothis, which is the necessary rune. This is the fire rune, so searching for what's essential. Maybe they had a difficult lesson to learn. It was part of their destiny. Maybe there was some rebellion or some solitude. Okay. So figuring out what was absolutely necessary. And I can kind of see that with my grandparents. They lived during the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl and things. So that makes sense to me. Or my grandparents. Okay, what was the spiritual lesson your parents had to learn? This is Kiwas. This is education. This is the torch rune. This is all about learning, getting skills, truth, finding solutions. Maybe the lesson of learning about forgiveness. Overcoming misunderstandings could possibly be a lesson that they had to learn. Okay. What's the healing that you need? Okay, the healing that you need to work on is Manus. This is man. So this is all about meditation. Maybe you influence or you're too idealistic. Maybe you have too much autonomy going on in your life. Maybe you were possibly betrayed from love. Could be that you don't think with your mind. You're too much of a hurt person. Maybe you don't watch out for your community. Something like that. Okay. Now we'll go to the spiritual gifts of your great-great-grandparents. What was the spiritual gift that they had? They had Thor's hammer. This is Thor's. This is breaking out of stagnation. They were spiritually gifted with strategy and calculations. Okay. What about your great-grandparents? What was their spiritual gift? They had Fehu, which is all about money. This is the cattle rune, so this is all about trust, gain, offspring. This is the money rune. That was their spiritual gift. That was your great-grandparents. Okay, how about your grandparents? What's their spiritual gift? Their spiritual gift was Dagus. This is the day rune. Looks like a butterfly, so they're being released into the light. This is a new cycle. Maybe they had a fortune, marriage. They had change. So being able to see the light, being able to start a new cycle and change. Okay. What was the spiritual gifts of your parents? Okay. This is Othala's rune. This is the master of the house. This is following the ancestors, learning from the past. So this could be in regard to home, assets, inheritance, family, traditions, but they learned from the past. Okay, so let's just take a quick recap here. Your great-grandparents' challenge or the thing that they needed to learn was about joy, happiness, maybe breaking out of the bottom. They used Thor's hammer to break through stagnation. They used calculated strategy. That was their gift. Your great-grandparents' challenge was the ability to let go, maybe using their intuition. But their spiritual gift that they were able to use and capitalize on was the money rune. This is all about cattle, trust, gain, offspring. Okay. Your grandparents' challenge was learning about what was necessary, what was essential. And their spiritual gift was starting a new cycle, breaking free, being released. Your parents' challenge was education and learning new skills, seeking solutions and asking for forgiveness, overcoming misunderstandings. Their spiritual gift was learning from the past, from the ancestors. Okay. Let's go to the message. Great-grandparents, what's the spiritual or divine message you would have for the collective here? Your great-greats are asking you, they're advising you to use communication. This is Odin's rune, this is Anzus. Work on wisdom, love, friendship. They're saying beware of debts and temptations. But communication is the advice that your great-great-grandparents would have for you. What's the advice or the love message from your great-grandparents? Oh, that's two. What's the advice or what's the love message from your great-grandparents? They say connect into source, whatever your higher power is, if that's God, the divine source. They're saying pray. That will help heal you, shield you. It will give you help when you connect to your higher power, your source. So that's the loving advice that they have for you. So communication, pray to source. How about what would the ancestor realm request from you? What would they like you to do for them? They would like you to be able to show hospitality and give and take in partnership. equal balance. They want to see that gift in your life. That will help them. They want to see that for you. That's what they would request. Okay? So, with that, what action do you need to take? Whoops, I lost it. What action do you need to take? This is the Berkano rune. This is the motherly love rune. Okay? This is femininity. This is growth. There's no greater love than a mother's love. Okay? So your challenge is being able to think with your mind. Maybe you're influencing, maybe you're too idealistic, maybe you have too much autonomy, that you're not giving and taking in partnership with someone. And they just want you to use the best love that you have and express that to get over this hump that you're facing right now, that you have to work on, your soul needs to work on. Okay. I hope that helped you this evening. Again, these are the challenges, and if they were able to meet those challenges, these are the gifts that they received. Again, happiness, joy, satisfaction. In order to get that, they had to break through stagnation. They had to use calculated strategy to be able to secure that wealth, that joy, that success. Okay, got to have a plan. Their challenge was letting go. You know, maybe they came to America. Maybe they were immigrants. They had to let go of the past, perhaps. They had to use their intuition. But they were able to make assets. They were able to produce financial wealth for themselves. But they had to break free of cycles that weren't working for them in order to do that. Your grandparents had to figure out what was actually necessary in life. Maybe they had a little extravagant, or maybe it was a poverty, depression era that they lived in. So they had to scale back and figure out what was necessary, what was essential, in order to start a new cycle and build out of that. Be free of that thing that could rob them of their joy and happiness because they were too footless and fancy free, or they were so depressed that they, maybe they got sucked into the negativity of it all, but they needed to work through that so that they could start a new cycle, a new period, a new reality for themselves. Your parents' challenge was education, learning to find forgiveness and solutions. That was their challenge. Being able to speak the truth and use their skills. The asset they had was that they were able to learn from the past. So this is the learning room. So they were able to learn from the past, and that was their skill set. Your great-great-grandparents' advice to you is communication. Beware of debts and temptations, but really focus on wisdom, love, friendship. That's really important. And your great-grandparents really want you to hook into your spiritual realm. Pray, connect to Source. Source will help you and shield you from anything that's going down that's not in your favor. Hook up to your greatest resource is what they're saying. Call upon them if you need that. Your biggest challenge might be your autonomy and your influence, your idealism. Maybe you got your head in the clouds. You're not thinking of the community. You're not using your mind well. But if it's all about autonomy, you're too independent, perhaps. They're wanting you, they're requesting that you look at partnership, divine partnership, giving and receiving equally, showing hospitality to others. And you can do that, can break down that independence, autonomy streak, or that maybe bad influence that you got going on by just displaying motherly love, brotherly love to others, keeping things in check and knowing what's important. Okay. Thank you. We are getting close to all the crazy astrological planets and movement and unique occurrences. In first time in, like what they say, 7,000 years, the planets are going to align at 0 on the 13th, Friday the 13th. So rock on, right? Hang on, do your boots. And then, of course, we have the new moon coming up on 1617, wherever you happen to live. But just be mindful that it's not only a new moon, but it's an eclipse. So that could actually be a little heavy charge for you too. So be kind to yourself, rest, rejuvenate, do some meditation, seek source. You're not going crazy. It's just going to be astrologically a little pingy perhaps for you, and you just need to breathe through it. But we'll be back here for some more rune reads, so maybe that will help you out too. Talk to y'all later. Bye.